Hey there, everyone. Looks like, Rich, we are one short of a quorum thus far.
Okay, we're about ready to.
Oh. Whoops, sorry.
We got about a minute left. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Nisa is, let's make sure that's really Nisa.
Good afternoon, this is Rowena.
Hey, Rowena. And Andy, I don't see it on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
We're going to call roll.
Yes, at the beginning. Nisa, is that you?
Oh, this is Liang.
Yes, Andy.
I'll move you over.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to make sure that's Nisa.
Well, you know, the last time that happened, it wasn't really Rich. And they moved Rich over and somebody shared inappropriate content.
I heard about it. I'm glad I didn't see it. All right, everyone. We have a packed agenda. Let me do a little count here to see if we have. I see somebody who says Larry Klein, but I know that's not Larry Klein.
Wondered who that was.
Hey, Gustav. We'll have to change Gustav's name.
I am.
Okay. 1, 2. All right, we've got it up for a quorum. So I'll go ahead and start the meeting and ask for a roll call, please.
All right. Gibbons.
Here.
Gibbons present. Paul. Paul Cupertino.
Oh, this is Liang. So
Oh.
I'm actually on the committee, but yeah, the mayor requested to join last time.
Okay, understood. Thank you. And Blankley Gilroy.
Here.
Blankley present. Flagger.
Here.
Flagger present. Mock. Mock is absent. Syok.
Here.
Syok present. Montano.
Here.
Montano present. Turner.
Here.
Turner present. Constantine.
Present.
Constantine present. Kamei. Kamei is absent. Ilse?
2 boys.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And Jones?
Present.
Jones is present. Zhao?
Present.
Zhao is present, and Larson.
Present.
Larson is present. And with that, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. We have on our first item is the consent calendar. First, I'll ask for my colleagues if there's anyone who has any adds or edits to the minutes, which is the one thing that we have in the consent calendar. I'm gonna look to see if there's any hands going up. All right, I don't see any hands going up, so I'll ask for a motion to approve the April legislative action minutes.
So moved.
Yeah, I have multiple motions. Can I have multiple seconds?
Second.
Okay, we'll give that one to Ms. Gibbons, and then Chappie gets the motion. And could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Turner?
Yes.
Turner, aye. Sayok? Sayok?
Yes, sorry.
No problem. Sayok, aye. Dubois?
Aye.
Dubois, aye. Zhao?
Which one?
Zhao Saratoga?
Aye.
Zhao, aye. Blankley?
Yes.
Blankley, aye. Flagger?
Yes.
Flagger, aye. Gibbons?
Aye.
Gibbons, aye. Chow Cupertino?
Aye.
Chow, aye. Constantine?
Aye.
Constantine, aye. Jones?
Aye.
Jones, aye. Montano? Montano?
Aye.
Montano, aye. Larson?
Aye.
Larson, aye. And with 12 ayes, 0 nays.
Auden, Stanley Mock
I
is
mean-
present as well.
Okay,
And Ellen Kamei is present as well.
thank you for letting me know. Okay, in that case, Kame?
Aye.
Kame, aye. And Mock?
Aye.
Mock, aye. And then with 14 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries.
Great, thank you very much. And I apologize to my colleagues for moving so quickly, but we have a packed agenda and Mariko gets very angry with me when I get into her time. So I don't want her to be mad with me. So we're gonna go ahead and go into item number 2, which is attached, which is the housing legislative highlights. That was sent over by Liz. I think it's fantastic. It really gives a great synopsis of all the bills that are before us. So I hope you've had an opportunity to see that. I'll just ask my colleagues if there's any comments they'd like to make on that. And again, I want to thank Liz for forwarding that to us and showing it to us because I thought it was really great. All right, moving on. I will now move over to 2.2a, which I will now turn over to Andy.
So for 2A, we, Silicon Valley Clean Energy and San Jose Clean Energy are supposed to be presenting on that. And I think we may need to go to the next. Benna, are your folks joining us?
So I know that Melissa Charles should be on right now. She might be a regular attendee. And then Carrie Smith is having some technical problems. So I just sent her to the link to register.
Okay. Okay, I don't see. I don't see them yet.
Okay, let me just check in with them. Maybe you can.
Okay, so why don't we go to the next, can we?
We'll go to 2B.
Yep, 2B, is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. 2B, and let me see if our presenters are here as well. I can see one of the presenters is, and they just disappeared. Oh no, Joshua's already moved over. Okay, Joshua, are you able to do this or are you still waiting for someone?
No, I'm able to do this.
Okay, great. So our next bill that we are discussing was referred by our Racial Justice Committee to the Legislative Action Committee, and it is AB 649, Affordable Housing Tenant Protection Bill. And here to speak with us from the San Jose Housing is Joshua, and I'm just
Josh Ishimatsu.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for
Hi,
joining
welcome.
us.
Thank you. So I'm Josh Ishimatsu. I'm with the San Jose Housing Department. I am manager of our policy team over there. So SB 649 is a bill that we are sponsoring, carried by Senator Dave Cortese. And it's a tenant preferences bill that allows for local jurisdictions to be able to establish a preference for tenants in affordable housing projects that would be in the city or supported by the city, for tenants who are at risk of displacement, either from their neighborhoods, their existing housing, their jurisdiction. And just to emphasize this creates the ability for jurisdictions to enact a tenant preference. It is the bill is not a tenant preference in and of itself. It doesn't create existing tenant preferences, but rather for cities, for other local jurisdictions to be able to enact a tenant preference. And as part of enacting the tenant preference, you would still have to make findings in the local ordinance, about the applicability.
Hello?
Hello?
I don't have the ability to mute people, but I'll ask my colleagues if they can mute themselves if they're not speaking.
But it was still, fair housing laws, all applicable sort of laws would still apply. As part of the bill, the ordinance would have to make, a local jurisdiction would have to make findings that about the compliance with fair housing. But it's more of like a technical fix sort of bill in that it would make this creation of the tenant preference as specifically allowable under the IRS tax code. There needs to be a declaration for housing tax credit projects and for affordable housing bond projects. Right now, it has passed unanimously through two California Senate committees, Housing and Judiciary. It passed unanimously on the Senate floor. There has been a little bit of in flux right now because mid-session there was a 12-bill limit imposed on all legislatures. So each legislature can only carry up to 12 bills. And Senator Cortese was sponsoring more than 12 bills. So there's a little bit of creative solution making, negotiation happening. There might be some ways to combine some non-controversial bills into, across different sponsors. We're in active discussions, and we have every hope that this will continue to live on somehow, and we should know more in a few days. But that is the status of the current status of the bill. It passed unanimously through committee and through Senate before the imposition of the 12-bill limit. So it is something that is relatively, uncontroversial. It seems like it's got good legs. So we're still very hopeful about it.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Ishimatsu. We do have one question. Ms. Gibbons.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. Forgive me if I'm not sophisticated enough on this. in my city, we do have already preferences for housing and apartments. It has to do with people that work for the city, people who are police and school. There's a series of rankings of people that have priority. And then we go through a lottery. What does this bill make doable beyond that?
So sort of like live work preferences are still are currently allowable. This would create this would create the ability to create the specific preference around displacement. So people who are at risk
Around displacement.
Yeah, so people who are current tenants who are at risk of displacement. For us in San Jose, we are looking at, there's a UC Berkeley institute called the Urban Displacement Project. And they have a bunch of metrics, about, census tract level metrics about like risk of displacement. So the way that we would likely enact it is that there'd be some linkage between people who live in places that are at risk of displacement and who are current tenants who live in these places and that's who would get the preference likely under the ordinance that we would propose should this legislation go through.
So there's already protections for people who are in BMRs and replacement and things like that. But an example I'm thinking of is over on Winchester and wasn't Moore Park, but it was close to that. There was a housing complex of maybe 250 houses that were occupied for 10, 20, 30 years and had relatively modest rents. And that building was demoed for a high-rise apartment building. So it's sort of I'm going to call it the middle income that are impacted, not because of their BMR status, but because they could lose their housing to development. Is that a refinement?
It's something, it's something like that. So it creates a preference within existing affordable housing. So people who might be at risk of, so in your example, so people who are at risk of being displaced from their current apartments, that are market rate, even though they might be cheaper, it might be more affordable, not technically affordable housing, but housing that is cheaper. People who might be at risk of losing that type of housing, as you described, could get a preference or a set aside. There might be a set aside of units in an affordable housing building that would be funded by the city later. Yes. So it would be something along those lines. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Ms. Montano.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm a little bit confused. So will this bill give the rights for cities to choose or select for example, we have a few homeless, long-term homeless in our city. We also had a home key come in. However, the county runs the home key, but our local residents, homeless residents, do not have a preference to get in there. The residents are selected county-wide. So are you saying that with this bill, we, the city, we will have the control, local control to place our homeless or displaced folks or at risk of displaced folks in housing? Is that what you're saying?
It would give you the ability to create that local ordinance that would give a preference for for local residents who are at risk of being displaced from Milpitas, for
Okay.
example.
So, okay,
I mean, like about the specific question of the homeless housing, there's different jurisdictional issues there. I'm not sure how it all resolves, but in general, it would be for you to be able to create an ordinance that would establish a local preference for housing people who are at risk of being displaced from the
right.
community.
Yeah, because even with Measure A, the below market housing, even that we're not able to house our own residents. It's countywide. The county has their, so we have no control over that. But I like this bill, so gives us control. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I apologize to Ms. Chow. I looked at the pictures and not the list. You were actually before Carmen, but you can speak now. You're actually
All right.
muted. There we go.
So I looked up, the League of Cities did not support this bill, but it's on the watch list. And if I can share the screen, this is actually the bill text, because your description, I get very confused. I have to look up the text. And so the government, so local government today can already adopt local tenant preference. And with this bill, the local government can still choose to adopt or not adopt a local tenant preference, right? So I don't understand is, so cities who don't have the ordinance don't have to adopt, right? So that's clear.
Right.
And the cities who have ordinance today, so then this applies not only for the BMR housing that the city administer. This would apply, I guess, for all market rate or whatever housing.
Not market rate. It's for
It's only BMR housing.
For affordable housing. Yes. I mean,
Affordable housing means a lot of things. What do you mean by affordable?
of covenanted affordable housing.
Covenanted, okay. So it only applies to those covenanted housing. And then, so the city already, we have our preferences also on who can apply. And so this would require, when the city adopts such ordinance in the future, we cannot do whatever preference we want. We have to follow this bill.
No, it's not. I mean, the intent.
What exactly is the difference?
Yeah, the intent is not to limit it. The actually right now, there was a question as to when we City of San Jose were investigating to establish our own tenant preferences. We got legal guidance that we could not apply this to housing that received the low-income housing tax credit or received subsidized affordable housing bonds. Because the IRS code that creates the housing tax credits and creates the affordable housing, the tax exempt bond, affordable housing tax exempt bonds, requires a declaration or a finding by the administering jurisdiction, so that in which case is the state of California, because TCAC is TCAC and CIDLAC are, TCAC is the California Tax Credit Allocation Committee, CIDLAC is the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee. Need to have a declaration that this specific type of preference is allowable for buildings that have been funded with that type of funding.
So you mean some buildings, some below market rate buildings, the cities cannot apply preferences today. With
Yes.
this bill, the city will be able to apply preference.
Yes.
And does the city still have freedom to choose what kind of preference, Or does the bill limit the kind of preferences?
The bill doesn't add additional limits that wouldn't be there already. However, like any type of preference that a public entity would create right now, as of today, even without this bill, would have to comply with, say, state and federal fair housing laws. So there's still, there's still limits, legal limits on what a city could declare as a preference.
For example, today the city declare preference for our own employees, for school district employees, and
So
we
school
didn't-
district.
we didn't need to prove any finding. With
But
this
school
bill, it
district
sounds like they
employees-
have to prove finding.
Right, school district
those.
employees actually has already gone through a state legal process making that okay. So that's already, I forget what the bill names are, but those are bills that have already passed. So that it's okay to do school employees, but there doesn't exist the same sort of findings or public declarations for local tenants at risk of displacement.
Okay.
Anything else, Ms. Chow?
Okay, yeah, still a little confusing. Okay, thank you.
Would you mind stop sharing your screen, please?
Stop.
Thank you very much. That way I can see everybody. All right. So I don't see any other hands up from my colleagues. I will ask if there's any members that are attending that wish to address on this item. Don't see any phone numbers. Otherwise, I would say if you're here on your phone, you can hit *9 and that will raise your virtual hand. So I do not see any members of the public wishing to raise their hands. So I will go ahead and thank Mr. Ishimatsu for your presentation. I don't see your picture. There you are. Thank you very much for your presentation. Do you have anything else you want to add in closing?
No, thank you very much for this opportunity to be here.
Great, thank you so much. And I will ask Andy if we have representatives representing the SB 612.
Do you want to take a motion if anyone wants to make a motion on this, or do you want to make motions in one fell swoop?
Why don't we do, well, I was gonna say we could do one fell swoop because they're different. I will go ahead and ask, is there anybody who wish to make a motion on whether we would support or oppose or wait and see, or just leave it as is?
I would make a motion to watch this.
Okay. So we have a motion to watch SB 649. Is there a second?
that. Second, Montano.
Okay, Member Montano would like to second it. Any discussion? Seeing none, then I'll go ahead and ask for a roll call vote, please. Auden, are you there? I see the
Sorry, I
person
didn't
moving.
realize I was muted. Blankly,
To watch. That's what the motion is, right?
That is correct.
Okay, yes.
blankly, I, Mock,
Yes.
I, Constantine,
Aye.
I, Jones,
Aye.
I, Larson,
Aye.
I, Chow,
I,
I, Gibbons,
Aye.
I, Sayak,
Aye.
I, Flagger,
Yes.
I, Dubois,
Yes.
I, Zhao Saratoga,
Aye.
I, Kame,
Yes.
I, Turner,
Yes.
I, Montano,
Aye.
I, and with 14 ayes, the motion carries.
Great, thank you very much. Now we'll move back up to item 2A, which is SB 612.
And so today we have with us Melissa let's see if I just moved everybody over. We have Melissa Charles from Silicon Valley Clean Energy, and we also have Kari Smith from San Jose Clean Energy with us to discuss 612. And we also have Benna Chang in the peanut gallery or in the attendees room as well. And so we will pass it on to Melissa and Kari.
Hi, everybody. Melissa Charles with SB Clean Energy, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, and apologies for being late. I had problems logging on. So I'm going to share my screen. And we are asking for your support for SB 612. So Carrie and I are going to split this presentation. Carrie's going to talk a little bit about the fee, the PCIA, that is linked to this bill, and then I'll talk a little bit about trends and what this bill does. And then with that, we'll ask for your support. So I'll turn it over to Carrie to talk about PCIA.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carrie Smith with San Jose Clean Energy, and we're the Community Energy Department, a department of the City of San Jose. So the PCIA charge, which I'm going to speak to today, is a little bit confusing, but just bear with me and I'll walk you through it. And it's basically an accounting of how various rates are passed on to customers, both CCA customers and what we call bundled utility customers, or customers who are still served by PG&E for their energy. And so when the utilities entered into long-term contracts or invested in their own generation for natural gas, renewable power, and nuclear and hydro, there's an above market cost that's passed on to all customers, so PG&E customers and CCA customers. And when customers leave PG&E to join a CCA like Silicon Valley Clean Energy or San Jose Clean Energy, they continue to pay this charge. And that's fine because, the utility invested in this generation with a certain amount of customers in mind that would pay it off over time. And so when the customers leave, they continue to pay for this above market cost. And the above market cost is defined by what the utility paid for this generation in the first instance when they invested and what they could receive for that power if they were to sell it on the market today. So that delta is what customers pay for. Our concern and what we'd like to speak to today is that this charge has gone up year over year by a very rapid and dramatic amount. And so between 2013 and 2021, this charge has increased over 900%. And to provide some context for that, when San Jose Clean Energy launched in 2019, the charge for our customers was $100 million for this above market cost, this utility charge. Today, it's up to $176 million. So that charge has just gone up incrementally. So that's one point. The other point is that our customers pay for this, but they don't receive any of the benefits of what they're paying for. So if they're paying for something where they don't receive the benefits. And so what this bill would do, and I'll pass over to Mel to describe further, but it would give us the opportunity to have access to those attributes that we are paying for in this charge. And these attributes is a little confusing at the PUC, but they're essentially the compliance attributes. So we pay for reliability, we pay for greenhouse gas free attributes, and we pay for renewable attributes that we all need in order to comply with regulations at the PUC. And when we don't receive those attributes, we have to purchase them again. The CCAs have to purchase them again because the IOU holds on to for the benefit of their customers only. So that's basically what this bill is about. It's a fair access to something that our customers pay for. But that's the sort of the overall description of what the PCIA is and why we're so concerned about it, because it is going up so quickly and it means a lot of money for our customers. In some instances, CCAs cover the cost of that, so the costs don't go up for our customers, but then that's reduced revenue that we have available to invest in the community for energy efficiency and low income programs and electric vehicle infrastructure, all the kinds of things that we reinvest in the community for the benefit of our constituents. So Mel, I'll hand it off to you.
Great. So yeah, I think Carrie explained it really well. We are concerned about sort of the trend of the ever increasing costs, and we want access to those benefits. We see this as wanting to be treated equitably with the utilities. And so basically what this bill does, it does a couple of things. It allows all customers, so bundle utility customers and TCA customers, to have equal rights to those legacy resources and those attributes that provide those benefits that can help reduce our revenues and make our rates more affordable. And it also requires the CPUC to recognize the value of greenhouse gas free energy, which is a key attribute there as well. And so with that, I am going to stop and just see if you have any questions and see if we can answer anything, and ask for, again, for your support for this bill.
All right, thank you very much. I will look to my colleagues to see if there are any questions. Tom, you have your hand up? Go ahead.
Yeah, so how does this impact the city-owned utility, if at all?
How does it affect a CCA or a city-owned?
I mean,
A city-owned utility.
It does not.
That's correct.
Okay, next will be Stanley.
One moment, please. Thank you. With respect to the cost of PG&E pensions and the cost of their lawsuits, I would suspect that that would be a great weigh on their profitability and operating margins. So in my PG&E bill, I see that the vast majority of that bill is for distribution and transmission. And a very small portion, maybe a third of it, is for the actual energy produced itself. So if I'm understanding this bill correctly, does that mean that my cost for distribution and transmission would be reduced somewhat because now some of those costs that were produced by PG&E will be lower to us and charged to somebody else? Is that correct?
PCIA is on the generation side of the bill, so it would not impact the distribution side that you see on your bill.
Thank you.
Okay, Liang?
Oh, hi. So, oh, can I share screen again? So this bill, the League of Cities does support, and actually our city has voted to support the bill. However, I feel it's important that we understand the bill from both sides. I think we received more analysis about this bill, so I thought I should share that regarding the opposition. So I personally abstained from the bill because I didn't think I understand it well, but it seems it will benefit Cupertino residents. So my concern is the reason for opposition is this bill interferes and undermines an ongoing CPUC proceeding, conflicts with and leaves out key provisions of an existing working group joint proposal from a CPUC proceeding, and attempts to reopen issues that have already been decided by the CPUC. Some opponents argue while they share concerns regarding CPUC's excessive delays in ongoing proceedings in this issue, they do not believe the league should take action. The legislature should take actions to overturn a CPUC decision.
Do you have a specific question?
I would like to know. So I have concern that why we are trying to overturn this CPUC decision. What will be the impact of? They say that we are reopening certain issues. Thank you.
So the working group proposal that's referred to by the opposition was a working group between Cal CCA, which we're part of, and Edison, and a group called Commercial Energy. And the bill, SB 612, takes the language from that consensus proposal and has introduced it at the legislature. So this bill is actually reflects the working group consensus proposal to the PUC. And when the bill was introduced, the PUC had not acted, and had not acted for several years. So that's why Cal CCA introduced this language. And I'm not quite sure what the opposition this is overturning. I mean, what it would do is would give CCA's ability to access the benefits that their customers are paying for. So it would reinstate fairness. Mel, do you want to comment further?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the other thing just to add is that this bill came out before the decision came out. And while we were working to propose this bill last year, Cal CCA was also working with the CPUC to see if we could get a decision out of them. And they had not acted on the decision for over a year. The working group had been in process for several years, as Carrie said. And so it wasn't about overturning a decision when this bill was introduced. It was about trying to act on this very important issue, which is why we went to the legislature first. And we also told the CPC that we were proposing this bill as well. So we've been in contact, and in terms of any action at the PUC, we've also been working in tandem there as well. So.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Liz?
This is more of a comment, if I may, rather than a question. Do you want me to hold it?
If you wouldn't mind. Thank you, Liz. Nisa?
Sure. I'll first quickly comment that the Los Altos City Council has endorsed this bill. Either Mel or Carrie, how many customers does SBCE serve, both residential and business customers in Santa Clara County? And I know the San Jose Clean Energy Group is different. I'm just curious so our members can hear the number of customers we serve in Santa Clara County.
Thank you, Director Flagger. So we serve 270,000 customers in Santa Clara County. And so that is most of Santa Clara County. Obviously, we don't serve San Jose customers or Palo Alto, but we do serve the majority of Silicon Valley.
We serve 350,000 customer accounts.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Nisa. Okay, I will look to the members of the public if there's anyone wishing to address us on this item. And I have Joshua Ishimatsu. Sorry about that. Okay, Joshua is no longer. Okay, things are changing as we speak. Okay, so maybe Joshua doesn't want to speak.
Oh
So
no, I didn't want to speak. I don't know how.
Okay, no
I don't
problem.
know how that got.
Okay, no problem. Okay, the next speaker will be Tina Walia. Okay, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I tend to forget that mute button at the right moment.
No problem.
So thank you, Chair, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am Tina Walia, board member for Silicon Valley Clean Energy and Vice Mayor, City of Saratoga. Mayor Zhao for Saratoga is here today, and I am here to support SB 612, as has been explained by Militia Charles, and Mayor Gibbons from Campbell and Mayor Flieger are also members of Silicon Valley Clean Energy, and I think they can speak more. So I'll be brief. I would request that this bill be supported. Our mayor has already supported with a letter of support for this. It will help our customers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There are no other hands raised, so I'll go ahead and close public comment and move over for comment. Liz, you're up.
Thank you. Just to reflect what Vice Mayor Walia just said. Silicon Valley Clean Energy, I'm the vice chair, and there are several board members in this group. This is a really important bill. The CPUC has dilly-dallied, to be polite, for several years on this issue. It is an issue that benefits PG&E to continue its policy of making the PCIA a black box and not sharing the attributes that our customers are paying for because they pay the PCIA. So I strongly encourage us to support this bill because the technical requirements and financial impact on our customers, over 500,000 customers from these numbers, needs to be addressed rather than waiting yet again for another round of UC.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Gustav.
Yeah, thank you. I too am an SVCE board member, so I've been following this for quite a while. And as Vice Mayor Gibbons said, this is very important for our customers in the area, covering almost the entirety of Santa Clara County. It's important that, you know, we're already paying for these attributes, so we should get the benefits of them so we don't have to go out and buy them again. Attributes like carbon-free attributes, very important for our community. So really hope everyone will support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In full disclosure, myself and many members of my community in Morgan Hill are members of the Silicon Valley Clean Energy. It was an opt-out versus an opt-in measure. So majority of the people are with the Silicon Valley and Clean Energy. So with that, I will ask for a motion on this bill. Gustav, your hand went up first.
I move that we support this bill.
Okay, is
Second,
there a second?
second.
Okay, Nisa, you second that one?
I
Any
do.
discussion? Seeing, Nisa, your hand's still up. Do you have discussion? Okay, hands down. Okay, so with that, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
All right, Montano,
Yes.
Montano, I. Kame,
Yes.
Kame, I. Zhao,
Aye.
Zhao, I. Larson,
Aye.
Larson, I. Sorry about the background noise. Blankley,
Yes.
Blankley, I. Chow, Chow, I. Gibbons,
Aye.
Gibbons, I. Sayok,
Aye.
Sayok, I. Mock,
Yes.
Mock, I. Flagger,
Yes.
Flagger, I. Jones,
Aye.
Jones, I. Dubois,
Aye.
Dubois, I. Constantine,
Aye.
Constantine, I. And Turner.
Yes.
Turner, I. And with 14 I votes, the motion carries.
Okay, before we move on to the items C and D, we're going to go ahead and move to item 2E, which is the 2021-22 state budget request for California cities. Give that back to Andy.
Okay, this is in response, well, to the governor's budget, but Cal Cities has put out a request for support, and by passing a motion for support, this would also allow us to take a position on any of the budget trailers that come back that impact cities. So what we are asking you today is to approve support for the state budget request for California cities. And so that we can weigh in if needed to in this last run of the legislative session.
Okay, any discussion? I don't see any hands going up. So with that, I'll move to members of the audience. Is anyone wishing to address us on this item? Seeing none, I will go ahead and close public comment and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, I didn't hear who that was. Who was
I
the
think it might-
motioner?
Liz?
That was Montano.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, Montano was a motion and Jones will be the second. Roll call
Yeah,
vote.
he was
Any
just a little
discussion?
faster than I was.
No discussion, then we'll go ahead and go for a roll call vote, please.
All right, Dubois,
Aye.
Dubois, aye. Montano,
Aye.
Montano, aye. Oh, is that correct? I'm sorry. Sayak,
Aye.
Sayak, aye. Constantine,
Aye.
Constantine, aye. Jones,
Aye.
Jones, aye. Gibbons,
Aye.
Gibbons, aye. Chow,
Aye.
Chow, aye. Mock,
Aye.
aye. Flagger,
Yes.
Flagger, aye. Blankley,
Yes, I was just going to say aye for the first time, but then she went and said yes. So sorry about that.
Blankley, yes. Turner,
Yes.
Turner, yes. Kame,
Yes.
Kame, yes. Zhao,
Aye.
Zhao, aye. And Larson,
Aye.
Larson, aye. With 14 aye votes, the motion carries.
Okay, that will go back over now to 2C and 2D, which is SB 9 and AB 1401. I put those on there just because it's been a lot of topic about, or a lot of conversation about those two bills, not only in my city, but throughout the county. So I wanted to bring that up to see if there was anyone who wanted to take an action on those items.
Also, I would just like to add that SB 9 has passed out of committee. And so our action, if we took an action on SB 9, that would just be to go to our assembly members to before they vote on it as a body.
And just to refresh everyone's memory, SB 9 is the Housing Development Approvals, which is the bill that would require proposed housing development containing 2 residential units within a single family residence zone to be considered ministerial without discretionary review or hearing. And then an AB 1401 is a bill that would is for residential and commercial development parking requirements, and basically would prohibit local government from imposing parking on certain projects. Stanley.
I believe that SB 9 is poorly drafted from the standpoint that it does not provide for infrastructure funding. So the cities are currently under a great load for pension funding. In some cities, they cannot simply fund their pension plans for their policemen or for their firemen or for anybody else in the city. So now, since there is no infrastructure funding for this bill, in order for some of the cities to be able to meet some of the requirements of the additional number of people that are going to be in the cities, they are going to have to issue bonds and borrow money. So I don't think that's a good thing. I think that there are other ways to solve the problem, and local control for zoning is simply one of the best ways to take care of some issues. There is no provision for affordable housing in this bill. These are all market rate housing scenarios that they're proposing. And for Los Altos Hills, which has a minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet, it would be significant for us to be able to retain what we have. This is where we've decided to live. Now somebody is forcing us to do something else with our properties. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Liz. Liz, you're muted.
There's a paragraph in the explanation of this that's very troublesome to me. It says requires, and this is in the analysis, requires local agencies to ministerially approve a proposed housing development project containing 2 residential units on parcel zoned for single family residential developments. There's a bunch of criteria if conditions are met, but this is directly impacting single family zoning. And I think it's flawed. So I would recommend not supporting.
And for clarification for my colleagues, Liz is speaking about SB 9.
Thank you for that.
No problem. Okay. Thank you very much, Liz. Carmen?
Thank you. Yeah, I also agree with my colleagues, Liz and Stanley. This bill, SB 9, takes away the integrity of the neighborhoods, single detached family neighborhoods. It's just, to me, it's a power grab for developers to build, and it just, I'm really against this, and I'm hoping that my colleagues will vote against this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Leanne?
Hi, for this bill, the League of Cities voted to oppose the bill, and Cupertino City opposed this bill also. And it's not just subdividing into two, it could allow up to 6 or 8 units. And then a lot of legislators, when we talk to them, they don't even understand this bill. And also we are all required to satisfy the RENA requirement allocation in any way we can. The city council is in the best position to decide where in our city we might allow such lot division. And then we should be the person that's deciding on this one size fits all bill. It doesn't really do much except constraining how we can meet the RENA requirement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, for clarification, Leanne is speaking about SB 9.
SB 9, yeah.
Yes.
And for the other bill, I think League of Cities also opposed the bill.
Okay. And for the record, I oppose the bill myself. Discussed it in Morgan Hill, but so I see no other hand, so I will ask, and I will remind the public that we're speaking about SB 9 and AB 1401. I see one hand up, Mr. LeBron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think on SB 9, everybody's in agreement. No need for me to go there. The one I do want to talk about is 1401. I believe I mentioned it last time. It essentially says if you build a near transit, I think it's within half a mile. Well, you don't really need any parking because you got transit. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples where this goes wrong. Is these empty VTA light rail parking lot that VTA is turning over to housing? Well, you know what? The people who live there would never get caught dead on the light rail. That's the bottom line. VTA know it. If you look at what happened in San Carlos in the peninsula, it's essentially actually was a passing track for Caltrain. My time up?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. I heard a bell.
You have 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
All right. I'm not seeing a
much
timer,
more than you
but
get at VTA.
All right. Okay, so what happened in San Carlos, they built the entire area between Camino Verde and the Caltrain tracks. None of these people use Caltrain, never mind that. Now, what happened at Tamian is absolutely tragic because people were coming from Gilroy, Santa Cruz, even Monterey. They were driving to Tamian because there's really no Caltrain service south of that. The entire parking lot is gone. I am no longer able to drive to Tamian because the parking lot is gone. Right now, I don't have any Caltrain, so just drive like everybody else. And then just think about what could happen to Gilroy. They're trying to turn over the entire Gilroy parking lot over to TOD. Okay, and then the developer is going to turn around and says, well, you know what? We're in the parking lot. We're definitely within half a mile of transit. We don't need any parking there. And now think about Diridan, where basically Google did absolutely everything right. Believe it or not, Google are bearing in excess of 4,500 parking spaces in Diridan. You will never see them. You will never see the cars. They're guaranteeing a minimum of 2,750 during construction. What if all the developers within half a mile around there say, well, Google got all that, we don't need any parking. And that knows what happens there. So in closing, I am really sorry about what I said about Margaret, about whether she voted for this or not at MTC on the 26th, and clearly she didn't. because Sam Ricardo, Cindy Chavez, and Margaret were not there because that vote was the same day of the massacre, the VK that you've all heard of. So MTC have actually passed 10-5 position of support on this. I respectfully ask for your no vote. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Next speaker, Tina Walia.
Thank you, Chair. Tina Walia, Saratoga Vice Mayor. Again, I'll be very brief. Oppose SB 9. Mayor Zhao already sent a letter. The city is against this. This really impacts the integrity of the neighborhoods, as has been said earlier, and it takes away the local control. It will change the character of Saratoga immensely. Most of the residents are very concerned about this. So I oppose this, and I urge you all to keep that into consideration. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you very much. Now I'll move over to my colleagues for discussion. Liz?
Thank you. So this is a very problematic bill, particularly for anyone who has a light rail system going through their community or the trains. And it talks about high quality transit, which is currently, I believe, defined as any bus route with a 20-minute headway in the AM and PM peak. So the radius of impact of this mile is extraordinarily high. And realize that it work for urban communities like San Francisco and even Oakland, but it doesn't recognize that communities, which are most of our Silicon Valley, Santa Clara Valley communities, were built with residential adjacent to trains and buses and different kinds of transit. So it's a misunderstanding of the impact, and that's typical of legislatures. They do not understand the physical impact of the wording, and this is a very negative impact on our communities.
Great, thank you very much, Liz. So I will entertain a motion, and I'm going to be so bold as to say to oppose both SB 9 and AB 1401. In fact, I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll give the second to Stanley. All right, any further discussion? Not seeing any hands, moving on. Roll call vote, please.
Blankley,
Yes.
Blankley, I. Jones,
Aye.
Jones, I. Zhao, Saratoga,
Aye.
Zhao, I. Larson,
Aye.
Larson, I. Montano,
Aye.
Montano, I. Flagger,
Abstain.
Flagger, abstain, Gibbons,
Aye.
Gibbons, I. Chow,
Aye.
Chow, I. Mock,
Yes.
Mock, I. Dubois,
Yes.
Dubois, I. Oh. Kame,
Abstain.
Kame, abstain, Constantine,
Aye.
Constantine, I. Turner,
Aye.
Turner, I. And Sayak,
Aye.
Sayak, I. And with 12 ayes and 2 abstentions, the motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I will just go ahead and jump in really quickly. In your packet, you will see the results of the survey that was sent out regarding AB 1091. We do not have enough time to discuss that, but I want to direct my colleagues to the survey. Again, it was just a way to get an idea of where we're all at. We will have further discussions on that as that bill has been tabled till next year. So we have time. I will ask my colleagues if there's any members that have any bills that they would like to have discussed in our next meeting.
If I may, I just
Go
have
ahead,
one
Liz.
I'd like us to track, which is AB 1139. It has,
1139 track 11 AB 1139. Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Okay. Now I will ask if there's any members of the public wishing to address, make public comment, I believe on items that were not discussed today. Mr. LeBron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very briefly, is on 1091. I believe I mentioned this before. I believe that the correct solution is to undo the legislation that was passed in 1995 that merged the Transportation Authority with the CMA. The CMA used to.
Here's Commissioner Gaudenzi too.
Yeah, no, I'm on, guys.
Sorry about that, Mr. Braun. I don't know who's talking. I can't see yet. So go ahead and continue, please.
Okay. So basically what I'm going to ask is Santa Clara County is the only county in the Bay Area and probably in the whole of California where they merged the CMA and the CTA. And what my proposal is to basically go back and do like everybody else in San Francisco, the CMAs, the board supervisors, and they got Muni that does the buses and the light rail and a bunch of other things. In San Mateo County is the same thing, except that it's no, yes, there are some supervisors, but both boards are basically hybrids, which is pretty much the way Bergman wants to go. So my proposal. Can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I got muted. Okay. So my proposal is to split it. The CMA will be responsible for how we spend the Measure A and the Measure B dollars. The Transportation Authority will have the 97.6 Measure whatever, and the 186 thanks for BART, and there'll be two separate boards. And I believe the CMA board probably should be a hybrid as recommended by Bergman. So I'm looking for a support for somebody. If I don't get any traction, I'll be following up on this with Mark Bergman's staff on my own. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. LeBron. Okay, with that, I will go ahead and adjourn the Legislative Action Committee. We went 3 minutes over. Mariko, I apologize. Don't be mad at me. And I'll leave it up to you if you want to take a break or just go right into it. Thank you, everyone.
How's everyone doing? Is there anyone that needs a break? Just raise your hand and I'll look at the screen real quick. Okay. So why don't we, if we could do a 3-minute break, we'll start back at 7:07. Welcome, Kat. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you.
Hi, Mariko. Long day.
Long day.
Yes. How you doing, Gary?
Just fine. Thank you.
Good.
How are you?
Oh, busy day for me too. I had a court hearing this morning, so crazy
Oh.
days. Yeah.
That'll keep you busy.
Yeah. It was all right though.
Good.
Yeah. Things are going to get easier very soon.
Okay, welcome everyone. It is 7:07. The meeting of the Cities Association of Santa Clara County will come to order. Clerk, may we please have the roll call?
Ivy.
Present.
Ivy present. Chow Cupertino.
Present.
Chow present. Blankley.
Here.
Blankley present. Flagger. Flagger. Flagger is absent. Mock.
Present.
Mock present. Sayok.
Here.
Sayok present. Montano. Montano. Montano is absent. Turner.
Here.
Turner present. Constantine. Constantine. Constantine is absent. Abakoga.
Here.
Abakoga present. Philseth or Dubois. I'm sorry. Dubois. Dubois is absent. Jones.
Present.
Jones present. Zhao Saratoga. Present. Zhao present. Klein.
Present.
Klein present. And see if we have a quorum.
And I'm here as well.
Oh, okay, great.
And I'm here as well, Auden.
Thank
Flagger
you.
Los Altos. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for accommodating our changes. As many of you know, we just adapt to what, and that seems to be what we are doing best. On our agenda, we have a closed session and report out, and then we have an opportunity here to hear from Supervisor Wasserman, the president of the Santa Clara County Board of Directors. We are going to change things around to accommodate Supervisor Wasserman's schedule. And so we are going to welcome him first. And then for those in attendance, we will then go into closed session and follow the remainder of the agenda. And so Supervisor Wasserman, welcome and thank you for joining us. As you know, we are the Cities Association of Santa Clara County. Mr. Wasserman is my supervisor, but he's also president this year. And we look forward to welcoming you and hearing what you have to update us with.
Thank you. And let me full disclosure say, Mariko is my mayor. So there we go, Mariko. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for inviting me to speak. Thank you for your leadership. Yes, I'm honored to serve as the president of the Board of Supervisors this year. It's my second time around. We rotate. I'll be president next year. And then 20 years political career will be over. I will be stepping down and looking forward to grandkids. My son gets married in 15 days. So that's the next step. Thank you. And 2 days ago is my 41st wedding anniversary. So two things I'm very, very proud of. Anyway, great to see all of you. Thank you again for your representation, for stepping forward. I know from firsthand experience, it is not a job in which you can support your family, but it takes up more time than your family could possibly imagine. You put your residents and health and safety first. You took heat from your residents and businesses for complying with COVID restrictions, whether they were the states or the counties when they were more restrictive than the state. You used your leadership and political capital to get your cities through this crisis. You also helped locate testing and vaccination sites, distributed updates, helped your residents navigate frequent policy changes. And I'm going to toss away my prepared comments now that I'm done with those. I've said the boilerplate. I'm going to cut to the chase. Santa Clara County's positivity rate is 0.38. 0.38, a third of 1%. And that's because people wore masks. That's because people have gone out and gotten vaccinated. As of this moment, 78.5% of residents of Santa Clara County, 12 years of age and older, have been vaccinated. In my hometown, Mariko's hometown, that number is approaching 85%. At the end of the day, our county's vaccination rate is the highest among any counties of 2 million people or more in the US of A. So, I'm looking at all of you right now, and I'm seeing all the different cities. It's the collaboration between all of us. It's the individuals such as yourself and people that work for you, your administration, your city managers. I know firsthand in the 5 cities I represent, San Jose, Montecito, Morgan Hill, Gilroy, Los Gatos, the city managers called up and said, hey, we've got a place you can vaccinate. Hey, we've got a place you can do testing. Hey, we can help you here. The school superintendents called up and said, can we do this for kids? Do you want to use our gym? Last week, I was going to Walgreens to get a prescription, Walgreens on Santa Cruz Avenue in Los Gatos, to get a prescription. And there were kids lined up, 15, 16, 17-year-olds together, the younger kids there with their parents. They were all lined up to get vaccinated at Walgreens. Apparently, there's about 1,700 such sites in Santa Clara County where people are getting vaccinated. And when I went down that line, everybody was in a mask. I was in a mask, and I did fist pumps with all the kids in line. I said, great job, thank you, thank you. So we've got a whole lot of normalcy that has returned finally. And one bit of breaking news, the OSHA update. Fully vaccinated people will not need to follow the same precautions as unvaccinated people, and employees will be able to take masks off at work if they are vaccinated, regardless of whether others are vaccinated. And that's what OSHA is doing. Santa Clara County will follow the state's guidelines in this respect. We have, what is today, the 11th? 10th? Today's the 10th. On the 15th, the governor, the state, they're going to come out with whatever their new order is. But what I believe it's going to be is that individuals who have been vaccinated can gather together inside up to 5,000 people. So everything is basically returning to normal. We have we're getting closer to herd immunity. They're coming out, the pharmacies are coming out with a new medication that's by pill. But we're still going to have that group of people that, for whatever reason, don't want to be vaccinated. I personally don't agree with that. And thankfully, 80% of Santa Clara County doesn't agree with that either. But it's because all of you are making, first of all, you're role models. You're setting examples. You're going places and speaking with masks on. You're keeping social distance. One little bit of irony, our flu season this year was non-existent. It was below measurable, because everybody was wearing a mask, so the flu didn't take place. But again, it's your leadership. I thank you on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. I've got more on budget and the census if you wish, Mayor Blankley, Chair Blankley. I'm happy to do that. I don't know how many minutes you have allotted for me, or answer any questions for you, or I can call it a night.
Well, let's see if there's any questions. I do see members of the public that have their hand raised, but I'll first turn to my colleagues.
Thank you, Mariko. I was looking right at Marie. She was the one over here, so I said Blankley, and I meant Mariko Sayak.
Okay, I'm in
Anyway,
your
you're both-
district too, right? We're all in your district.
And you're both mayors. All right, go ahead.
Well, Mayor Blakely, do you have a question first?
No, I don't. No, very good report.
Isn't it nice to see people's faces and smiles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. What else can I tell anybody? Do you
Okay,
want me to spend a couple minutes on the census, or do you want a couple of minutes on the county budget?
You do have a couple questions. Let's see.
Sure.
Vice Mayor Montano.
You're muted.
And you're
Nice to see you, Carmen. Not working. Maybe Margaret.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Hi, President Wasserman. It's really great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to thank you and the county, your colleagues, your staff, everyone for all that you've done, your leadership. I don't think as long as I've been around, we've had a closer relationship, the cities with the county. And so I just wanted to thank you for that, for the great collaboration. I think that's really led to the success that we've had. So thank you.
Thank you,
so
Margaret.
much.
And I'll pass that on to my fellow supervisors.
But I was actually interested if you could share. I'm sorry, I haven't really kept up on the county budget. So I was hoping you could share a little bit about what you see.
Sure. Our budget this year is 9.1 billion. We're going to have close to, well, 22,000 is a round number, a little more than that, 22,000 employees. 3,000 or 4,000 of those came when we acquired St. Louis and O'Connor hospitals. Our budget this year is 9.1 billion. Our budget goes up and down based on what the federal and state government give us. So if they give us $1 billion, let's say there's $1 billion in the 9.1, there's not, but let's say there's $1 billion in there for food stamps, then that's our budget. If they decide to give us $2 billion, then our budget goes from 9.1 to 10.1. We're not in control of that. We're in control of about 25% of our budget, roughly $2 billion. The other monies that come to us come with strings attached, and money for food stamps can't be used at the airports. And money that comes from the taxes collected on gas tax for the airports cannot be used for libraries. And the money that comes from libraries cannot be used for expressways. So that's all happening. The amazing thing, Margaret, is about 90 days ago to 100 days ago, when we were looking for vaccines and nobody could get an appointment and we didn't have vaccines, we were projecting, our finance department was projecting a $350 million deficit. A month later, it was revised to 250. A month later, about 50. Now we are projecting a status quo or a surplus, minimal, but a surplus. And those numbers are based on full reimbursement from the federal government that we've been promised for our COVID expenses. So we should have a balanced, we all have balanced budgets, that's the law. We should have a status quo budget of $9 billion this year, which is great. Property taxes did not go down. You saw at the state level, they have a huge surplus. We have all these people, and you can see them down streets and businesses that have closed, but we have also all these people at Zoom and Tesla and Netflix and everything else whose stocks have doubled, they've sold, and the capital gains coming in has given the state a bonanza. Thank you.
Question, Carmen.
Now I can, okay, great, thank you. So I just want to say, I just have a comment. Just want to say it was really great working with you on the JPA, the Joint Powers Authority at the library. I mean, and I really appreciate your sense of humor. You've got a great sense of humor. And your leadership is amazing. And I just want to say I appreciate you. And I'm wishing you all the luck. That's
Carmen,
it.
thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'm glad I still got 18 months to serve on the library. I said it before, it's one of the most fantastic organizations, and your voters all show that. Every time it comes up for renewal of the tax on the property taxes, the library and parks score above 80%. So Carmen, thank you for being on that as well. And anybody who can get on that Santa Clara County Library Committee, I suggest you do. We have a good time and they do a great job. The staff there is fabulous. Thank you, Carmen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Chow.
Hi, Supervisor.
Hi, Ling.
Thank you so much for coming here, and thank you, the Santa Clara County, for supporting a site in Cupertino for affordable housing. We are really looking forward to it, and hopefully we collaborate.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then I do have two questions.
Sure.
First, this year I think juvenile prisons are closed, and then I think all the juveniles will be handled at each individual county.
I'm sorry, did you say the juveniles?
Yeah, I think the juvenile prisons are closed because we don't want to send them to prisons, right?
Oh, are the county's juvenile halls?
Yeah, I think that then they will all be handled by individual counties. So I'm curious, how is the county's plan for handling them?
Sure.
And-
Over the
yeah.
last 5 years, and Member Preminger has seen this happen. He was a big help in it. Over the last 5 years, we've made a concerted effort to keep kids out of jail. And our girls' juvenile hall, I believe, is at 0. It was at 2 a month or 2 ago, and I believe we got down to 0. The goal is to keep young people out of jail-like settings and instead have them almost on a probationary type. There could be a ankle bracelet. There could be, reports into probationary officers. But I believe our girl juvenile hall has no one left in it. And the courts, the state and the courts are supportive of that as well. And our public defender and our district attorney, they work together as well. The two of them, Molly and Jeff, they got together and they reduced our jail population of adults by a full third. The boys population in the juvenile hall is down to the lowest it's ever been, and our goal is still 0.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we're not putting them out into other states. We're not hiding them in closets or anything. We're getting them care and attention, and they're still under supervision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I think rehabilitation so that they can really be productive in society is wonderful.
Yes, I did the ribbon cutting at our boys one. We just rehabilitated the entire center. There's wonderful dormitories, wonderful classrooms. They're still getting educated. They're getting older and they still got to get their education.
Yeah, great.
Did I cut you off? Did you have one other question?
Yeah, one other question is regarding, I think the governor has decided to fund the preschool for all. I don't know whether it's a program that's under the county supervisor or the education.
No, that's the
board.
Santa Clara County Board of Education.
Oh, okay.
As compared to the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors.
Mhm.
But I do get emails every other week from people wanting me to do something about the bullying in school, about the gang activity in school. I can tell you as far as the gang activity, I'm proud to serve. Let me see where Mayor Blankley went. There she is, the bottom left corner. Mayor Blankley and I, and Supervisor Rich Constantine, Mayor Constantine, well, that was a slip. We serve on the South County Youth Task Force, which used to be the Youth Gang Task Force, and we work with the superintendents and the schools. But the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, we help out in things with the schools, but it's the Board of Education, which is a state entity, Liang, that handles what you asked about.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, you can contact your superintendent instead of your supervisor.
Mhm.
Councilmember Mock.
Thank you for being here with us today, Supervisor Wasserman. I just have a question regarding the Los Altos Hills Fire District and
Yes,
the
we had them
position
on
of,
today. We had them, Stanley, Member Mock, we had the Los Altos Hills Fire District on today with your general manager and one of your committee members. One of the committees that I chair is called Hewlett, Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation. I appointed Supervisor Simidian to serve on there with me. And we had your fire district on today, along with County Council. Your fire district has been absolutely splendid, having completed 8 consecutive months of the order and is now set, as I'm sure you know, in the next week or 2 to open your new fire station.
Thank you. I don't need to ask anything else. Thank you for all your support and all your help.
You're welcome. Joe and I, Supervisor Simidian and I, we made the motion and got it done. And we had both our auditor and our county council that said your executive director and your committee members have done exactly what was required in the order imposed upon them 2 months ago. And I believe, let's see, you guys are opening, I think, June 16th, 5 days before the first day of summer, which I thought was so appropriate to have that extra fire protection with that station open and the collaboration of the fire department, providing not only more coverage to your 8,000 members of Los Altos Hills, but the region, the area as well.
So it opens up on my birthday.
Oh, there you go.
One additional item here. We are entering into fire season, and one of my concerns for some of our constituents is that we do have large lots with a significant amount of foliage, and some of the elderly are on fixed income, and they just simply cannot afford to clear their area. I know that we had a program previous to this time where we were supporting those elderly people, but I don't know if we can change that back. I don't know what the mechanism is. Would you address that, please, if there is one?
Sure, Member Mock. I have not heard of one during my time, but that doesn't mean anything. The county is 1,300 square miles and 2 million people. But if you'll send me an email asking that question, I will get that to SEPA, which is our, I always say it's a sad day when you don't learn an acronym. Something in that environmental protection, whatever group. But if you send that email to me, I will send it to them. They're the ones who go out and inspect to make sure that brush is cut away a certain distance from the residences. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people in well-to-do cities, Los Altos Hills. I know of people in Los Gatos that are what I call equity rich, where their home is millions of dollars, but a high PG&E bill can be a problem. And so there are certainly people that own their homes and don't have the dollars available to do that. And if you will send me that letter as a reminder, I will forward it on and get your question answered and see what we can do about helping.
Thank you very much. And it is a sad day when we all have to use acronyms.
Yes. Absolutely.
Councilmember Turner?
Yes, I wanted to,
Hey, Rowena.
Mr. Wasserman, it hasn't been long since I saw you. I saw you last night. We have served on the West Valley Sanitation District for years.
Yep.
And I just wanted to let you know that I do appreciate your presence and a lot of your feedback on that committee.
Thanks, Rowena.
Thank you.
You betcha.
And Mayor Zhao?
Thank you, Chair. President Wasserman, it's so good to see you here again.
You too, Jan.
All right. My question is simple. When is the county supervisor going to have meetings in person? Do you have a plan to do in person or?
Yes, I've said to administration that I'd like us meeting in August. Administration in general is returning on July 15th. The clerk needs to work out, since they've switched over to the Zoom technology like Jeopardy. What do I have right now? I've got 20 of you on my screen. They're going to work through logistics of going back to the regular system, and then we'll see how the next few weeks go. And then I think I'm going to ask at the first meeting in August be back in our board chambers.
Does the county gonna mandate cities, or I guess it should be state, but
Nope.
Go back to it in person?
Nope, not at all. I think obviously there's going to be a whole lot of businesses that found they can operate with people at home, and they might come back to 1/3 or 2/3 strength. Obviously, our hospitals and our emergency rooms and things like that can't. There were pluses, there were minuses. One of the committees that I chair, oh God, just went out of my head. We meet in Morgan Hill, environmental, the plan.
Habitat Conservation Plan.
Thank you, Mayor. Habitat Conservation Plan. There's the Habitat Conservation Authority, the Habitat Conservation Plan, HCP, HCA, some more acronyms. And a couple of people there, since that involves people coming from as far as Palo Alto and Gilroy, people have talked about, since it's countywide, people have talked about doing a Zoom meeting. Okay, I sit on one committee called the Pajaro River Valley Water Flood Protection Agency, or the PRWFPA, right? And that goes down to Marina. And so we attend meetings in Marina. So I've asked that we consider using Zoom. So there won't be any mandates, Mayor Zhao. There won't be any mandates for that. I think in the private sector, you'll see some things different. I think in the public sector, things such as council meetings, which are your cities only, and board meetings, a board of supervisors. I can see us meeting, doing that. But I think there's going to be some changes among some committees. You know, it's tough to ask a person from South County to drive back home at 5 o'clock. There's things from San Jose. So each of you are free to do absolutely what you want to do in a hybrid version and change it up. The good thing is that we have choices. The good thing is we can see each other again. And you can see eyes, but you can't see people smiling. When I was at Walgreens, like I said, I was in line. I looked a couple of people back, and there was this dad holding this little bitty baby. And I just smiled because the baby had to be under, 6 weeks old. And I just smiled. I realized I had a mask on. So I took my mask down and I go, here you go. And he said, thanks. And I put it back up. So it's, we're there, you guys. We are there. The vaccines are working. They're working against the variants. People are getting vaccinated. Nobody in county who's been vaccinated has been hospitalized or died subsequently. Like I said, we're getting very close to herd immunity. But there's just some people out there that don't want to. And our demographics say a lot of it is 20 to 40-year-old male Caucasians that seem to be the most stubborn. But, to each his own. We're getting there.
I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate your leadership and everything you do for our county.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Supervisor, we do have hands raised, so I am going to open public testimony. We have two hands currently raised. Councilmember Enander.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm wanting to thank everyone on this call, from Supervisor Wasserman and including everyone in our city leaderships throughout the county, for your work on the vaccination effort. I do want to speak, though, for a small minority of people who are unable to be vaccinated for medical reasons. And I'm asking that you remember them in two ways. One is that whether they are organ transplant patients, whether they have immune disorders, they are not able to be vaccinated. And I hope that we will not shame them because of that.
Nope.
And when we go back to reopening, I hope also that we do not do mask shaming for people who choose to wear masks because they cannot be vaccinated, but they want to participate in the open communities that we're all hoping to go back to soon. So thank you, because you are helping to protect, and everyone who's had a vaccine is helping to protect that very small but important minority of our community who cannot be vaccinated but are terrified of being ill from COVID. Please remember them as you consider and discuss your reopening plans. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Councilmember Enander, you make, if I may, through the chair, Mariko.
Yes, please.
Thank you. You make a very good point. When you get vaccinated, you not only protect yourself from getting sick, you protect others, because you can't get it. I mean, I know it's like 96, 98%, but let's just call that you can't get it, so you can't give it. I did a TV interview today. I think it was at 2 o'clock. One of the questions they asked me was I going to continue to wear a mask? Okay. And it would all depend on the situations for me. But Councilmember Enander brings up a very, very good point. There are people who are pregnant. There are people looking to get pregnant. They have been advised by their physicians not to get vaccinated. Okay. And I understand that. But as long as we've got 85% of the people vaccinated, at any given time, when you're in a room of 100 people and 85 of them have been vaccinated, so out of the other 15, who knows which of those people were asymptomatic and has it already in their blood? They had COVID and now they can't get COVID. They're asymptomatic. And at the end of the day, every 100 people that we test, and we're still testing thousands a week, every 100 people that we test, less than 1/3 of one person. So in that room of 100, 85 of them have been vaccinated. Probably 5 out of the 15 had COVID and didn't know it. We had more people that had COVID and didn't know it than had COVID because they didn't know it. That was our best guess. Well, that leaves you down to 10 people. Well, if 1/3 out of 100, if you only have 10, It's like 1/3 of a third of a person. It's like a person's shin in his foot. That's all. It's not the whole person. So what I'm saying is, once we get to that 85 number, and thank you, Steve, for laughing at my joke. Once we get to that 85% number, okay, we're going to be in great shape. There's always exceptions. There's new strands coming. There's new technology coming. The kids under 12 will be getting vaccinated probably in a few months. But doesn't it make you feel great to tell your constituents that their kids can go back to school? They can go back and socialize and learn and don't have to rely on parents to make sure kids are getting educated, and parents have to stay home and not go work. Or worst of all, the parents we found that had to go to work to buy food and pay rent and left their 7- and 9-year-old kids at home unsupervised. This kind of stuff is behind us, everybody.
And one more speaker, if we could ask Roland LeBron to join us.
Hey, Roland. And you're giving them 3 minutes, huh? Woo.
Roland's not going to need 3 minutes.
I know. Hi, Roland.
I'm well trained, you know, it's 2 minutes or less, and then Hendrix is 1 minute. I just want to say a bunch of thank you, Mike. My number one thank you is for the No Kill Shelter in Morgan Hill. That really, really means a lot to me. My second thank you is mentioning us having to drive southbound on 101 at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And you may remember a few years ago, we were both headed to San Martin for a meeting there. And I left the VTA 10 minutes after you, and I got down there 10 minutes before you. And that's because I was using Google and you were not. And I believe you probably are now.
No, I'm old.
You need to buy a new car, you know, with Apple CarPlay or something, you know. Anyway, the third thing I want to say thank you to you is for calling a surplus for what it is. It is a surplus. And my first ask here is that you reach out to your VTA counterparts and explain to them that a case, a CRISA surplus, is supposed to be used, prioritized to basically help people in need, not for bar consultants. So that's my first ask. My last comment is with regards to meetings in person. The reason the governor has not yet rescinded his executive order is because he's waiting to sign AB 703. So my recommendation is to watch AB 703, know what's in there, and be ready for it for the day he signs it. Thank you, Mike.
Hold on, Roland. Roland, hold on, if I may, through the chair. You're absolutely right. There's going to be some permanent kind of change because the world has changed and things that. But I want to say to you, Roland, thank you for showing up. I know the VTA committee, I know the PAC committee that I sit on and a couple of members here sit on, and making the trip there and advocating for better, I'll say, fiscal responsibility with the VTA and the low ridership box, advocating for the widening of lanes down to South County, advocating for the electrification of the lines. And you are a private citizen, you are not an elected official. To my knowledge, you are not a hired lobbyist. So you go there and you make the travel and you take time out of your day to advocate for a lot of things that I believe in. And I represent a lot of people and a lot of things that I know a lot of other people do. So thank you for your advocacy. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mike. And no, I'm not a hired gun.
Good.
Thank you, Roland. And would anyone else from the public like to speak? Seeing no other hands raised, I will close public testimony. And Supervisor Wasserman, actually, Steve, would you like to speak?
Well, since you've recognized me as a member of the public, I just wanted to say a thank you to Mike on behalf of the 22,000 employees. We really appreciate your support for us. We feel like you have our back and you are a great champion for the employees and the work we do for the county. So just a little acknowledgement of that.
Thank you, Steve. They do all the work. That's Santa Clara County is the employees. When you love the parks, it's because of the park staff. When you love the hospital, it's because of them. Wherever you go, it's because of them. There's no supervisor working behind any counter. There's no supervisor assisting anything with mental health or the expressways. The clerk's office, the assessor, the tax collector, the sheriff, the public defender, the district attorney. Oh, and SEPA, I got texted. SEPA is Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency. So there it is, your sixth and final acronym of the night.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for joining us tonight, President Wasserman.
Pleasure.
Come again anytime.
Thank you all very much. Take care. I know you're all vaccinated. Get 10 other people to get vaccinated.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And as I mentioned to those that are just jumping on, we did move things out of order to accommodate Supervisor Wasserman's schedule. We will now go to our closed session, during which we will ask our members of the public to remove themselves. But if you can, there is a Google document in our chat. You will be emailed when we come back. I anticipate this will take 10 to 15 minutes. And then we will resume the rest of the calendar and the rest of the agenda. We will be going into closed session. The title of our discussion is Legal Counsel Pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B. And so Audit, if you wouldn't mind removing those that are in our public so that we can go into a private webinar.